The energy methods are very powerful for solving problems which involve impact loading. There are many examples in practice where the impact loads are need to be considered in the design. For example, if you are designing a forging hammer, the forging hammer will be impacting on the body which is to be forged. In each stroke of that hammer will be falling through some height and with some velocity and hitting the other body. So we need to know at that instant what is the level of stress that hammer will be subjected to. Or if you consider an internal combustion engine, the piston of internal combustion engine, every power stroke it is subjected to large amount of impact. So the piston as well as the connecting rod and mechanism, each component is subjected to sudden loading. So how do we establish the stress level in such component are the problems which are routinely faced by mechanical engineers. So that is where the strain energy becomes very powerful tool to handle such type of problems. So we'll consider a general case where for the sake of convenience, we are considering axially loaded component. So we are considering axially loaded component that is a bar of area A and length L. Let's say it gets impacted or hit by a mass having value m and hitting at a velocity v naught. So when this body hits onto our rod, the kinetic energy that is contained in this particular rod will be imparted to the body. So in this particular analysis, we are assuming that whatever energy is getting through the hitting body will be completely absorbed in terms of strain energy of the body. So there is no energy dissipation during the impact. So you must have studied in engineering mechanics that there is some loss which takes place during the impact, which is taken into account by the coefficient of restitution. So we are not considering any such dissipation in this content. So whatever energy you are imparting, so in this case the kinetic energy half mv square, it gets totally converted into strain energy of the body. And we are also assuming that the striking body has large inertia. So its striking body is so huge that when it hits the component that we are talking about, it does not bounce off. If the striking body is having inertia which is similar to that of the body which it is impacting, then not the entire energy will be transmitted, but something will be saved in terms of the rebounding energy. So with these two assumptions, we will assume that the entire kinetic energy will be stored in the body in terms of the strain energy. So which means that after this impact, the body which is getting hit will get compressed. In this case, it will get compressed by amount which is given by xm. That m stands for maximum. So when the entire kinetic energy of this mass is consumed, its velocity will become zero, and that is where the rod will have its maximum displacement. So Umax is the strain energy at that particular moment. So the entire kinetic energy has been converted into strain energy of the body. So the strain energy of the body will correspond to its displacement which is given by xm. So we would like to know what is this value of xm. Once we know that, we can calculate strain, and from that we can calculate stress in the body. So how to do that is what we will see next. So I'm drawing here the figure where you have our rod which is having area L, A and length L, and it is getting hit by mass m moving at velocity v naught. And we want to know what are the deformation and stresses of the rod after the impact has taken place. So we are having the equation that the total with the assumptions that we just now spelled out is that the entire kinetic energy half mv square gets converted into the strain energy. I'm writing max, that is at the end of the ball coming to the rest. whatever strain energy of the body is nothing but kinetic energy of the body. So we can write half m v naught square equal to, so this strain energy we can write in terms of strain energy density, which is given as sigma max square, sigma square divided by 2e. So that is the strain energy density multiplied by volume of this body. So that would be given as A multiplied by L. So this is nothing but the volume of the body, and this is the strain energy density. So if you simplify this particular equation, we can write the maximum stress as m v naught square multiplied by E divided by A into L and the whole under root. So this is the maximum stress of the body, and from this you can calculate what is the maximum strain, and from that you can calculate the deformation. So this is a basic approach in solving bodies which are subjected to impact loading. There are few interesting points which figure out from this particular expression that we'll see. If this particular mass in terms of weight was just placed on this rod, we would have got the stress, assuming this rod to be vertical, as mg, which is force divided by its area. So we would have got the basic stress as weight divided by area. I'm just assuming the rod to be vertical, which is not shown here. So in this expression, you will not find there is no uh, length of a rod is not involved. The modulus of elasticity is not involved. Whereas in this equation, we will find that the material property E is involved in the expression for stress. Also, the length of rod is included in the expression for the stress. So what it means, if we are having a rod which is made up of steel and another rod, identical rod, which is made of copper, both of them are hit by identical mass, so mass m with velocity v naught, which rod will get higher stress? The rod which is having higher value of E will get higher stress. That means the steel which is having higher E value, so E of steel is higher than E of copper. So this will imply that sigma of steel will be higher than sigma of copper. So this is unlike the conventional stress calculations that we do. In our calculation, the modulus of elasticity never comes in picture. It influences the deformation but not the stress value. Whereas in the impact loading case, it becomes important that the modulus of elasticity also plays a role. Also, you will see the length also plays a role there. So if you consider same material and two rods, one which is long rod, so again we are considering a steel rod, but this is, if this is L, we are considering the second rod as L1, which is higher than L. So here again you look at the equation, the rod which is having more L will have less stress. So we will have less sigma max. So this is again unlike our conventional stress calculations. So in the impact loading calculations, not only the area of cross section is important, but you have to also pay into attention what is the modulus of elasticity and what is the length. So if you think little deeper, you will realize that both length and modulus of elasticity are related to the stiffness of the body. So essentially the body which is stiffer when it is subjected to impact loading will have more stress. So here more E value makes the body more stiffer, or smaller L value also makes it a stiffer rod. So smaller rod is stiffer than a longer rod. So this particular point needs to be remembered well in the impact related calculations, that if you make your body very rigid or less stiff, you will, under the impact loading, it will result into higher stresses. So unnecessarily increasing the cross sections can have detrimental effect in the case of impact loading. So that needs to be understood.